me, Pink here, and I'm back with question 3. I know you guys have been waiting for question 3. The question is, what do tarantulas eat? And is there any insect that they can't eat? The first question answer is eating tarantula. And let's get onto it. Let's go.
Hi guys, this is Ian Tarantula and this is question number 3. So what do tarantulas like to eat, and is there any insects they can't? So pretty much safe with anything you buy from the pet shop. So that's crickets, cockroaches, mealworms, morio worms. They will eat anything they can pretty much overpower. Try to avoid feeding them any sort of like wild caught insects, because you don't know if they've been contaminated by any chemicals or anything like that. So sorry, Marley just wants a bit of attention this morning, don't you, Marley Moose? Yeah, so anything like that in the wild, obviously they can eat pretty much anything they can overpower. So you know, small rodents, lizards, even, you know, obviously the bird eaters have been known to eat birds, because obviously that's why they're called the bird eaters. Whether they actually catch them or just, you know, just scavenge on dead animals, you know, don't really know. So yeah, so that's question number 3. Thanks guys.
Thanks, Ian Tarantula. Thanks for your amazing answer. And your dog Molly is really cute and I really love it. Please can you have it? Send it me in a mail. Thank you. And the next one is Invertabarian. Let's see if he has a different answer. Let's go.
Question number 3, asked by Princess Sophie Pink, is what do tarantulas eat, and is there any insects they cannot eat? Now, for me personally, I tend to feed mine a mix of cockroaches, crickets, locusts, and yeah, mealworms, morio worms, that kind of thing. They can pretty much hunt most prey items. In terms of, is there anything they cannot eat? Now, I would imagine, and I could be totally wrong on this, but something like a millipede, for example, that secretes quite a toxic secretion to defend itself. I would imagine something like a millipede wouldn't be a great feed for a tarantula, and I personally have never witnessed tarantulas feeding on millipedes. Likewise, slugs, snails, I've never contemplated trying to feed them it. I'm not aware of them naturally hunting these out in the wild. And smaller insects tarantulas aren't going to feed on: wood lice, common blue balls, houseflies, that kind of thing. Although, depend on the size of the tarantula. I'm assuming we're talking adults. Slings will feed on these smaller items. The one thing they're probably not going to feed on, although would given a chance, is the tarantula hawk, which is a predator of tarantulas. This uses tarantulas as a host for its offspring. I'm sure if the tarantula was to win the battle, it probably would feed on it, but these are evolved to hunt tarantulas, so ergo they probably would prefer to run than to try and tackle one of these creatures. So hopefully somebody's given a much better answer than me, but to the best of my knowledge, they will hunt most other things they can't eat, but I'd imagine there's a few things they would avoid eating because their defence mechanisms are probably pretty vile.
Wow, I didn't know about the tarantula hawk. Maybe I can research it. And why does it kill tarantulas? Tell me in the comments section down below, because I don't know. Next up is Erectus. Let's go.
The third question is, what do tarantulas like to eat, and is there any insect that they can't eat? So we're gonna go to the can't eat part first, and I would say, you know, things like caterpillars that are actually poisonous to them, maybe even some frogs in the wild that might be poisonous to them. Probably they would avoid, I would imagine. I really can't say that for a fact, but I would imagine that that'd be the case. And what do they like to eat? Anything that they can overpower, really. Small rodents, lizards, frogs, any type of insect that they actually could get their hands on or their fangs into would be something that they would want to eat. So, you know, the answer to that is pretty much anything that I think instinctually they know that there's things that they can't eat, so they stay away from those.
Wow, Erectus. arachnids. That was really cool, but why are caterpillars poisonous to tarantulas? I really love caterpillars, but not more than tarantulas, guys. And I really want to pet caterpillar, and maybe I can research why caterpillars are poisonous or to tarantulas. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. And next up is InvertaBen, someone new. Let's see what his answer is. Let's go.
Hey guys, it's InvertaBen here. I want to say thank you to Princess Sophie Pink for asking me to be part of this collaboration. She's got 10 questions, all different things regarding keeping tarantulas. So let's get into it. So today's question is, what do tarantulas like to eat, and is there any insects that they can't eat? Now, all my tarantulas I've got behind me feed on these guys. This is a dubia roach. I have a colony of them. They breed. I have small ones, medium ones, large ones, and this is what I feed my tarantulas on. A lot of people feed them on these. A lot of people also use red runners, crickets, hoppers, mealworms, all that sort of thing. Now, as for things that you wouldn't want them to eat, anything that could be potentially poisonous, or even anything that could potentially attack the spider. So you wouldn't want to give them anything that's too big, for starters. So a cricket, for example, if it's bigger than the spider, say for instance you've got a small sling and you feed it a cricket, it might not attack the cricket might end up attacking the spider. Also, you wouldn't want to give a spider something like an assassin bug, as they are known to squirt acid in defence. So anything like that would be a no-no. That's why most people go for these guys, or something similar, because they're pretty docile, they don't pose much of a threat, they're easy to breed and keep, and the tarantulas love them.
Wow, InvertaBen, that was a really big dubia roach, and I've been learning about more things. I don't know that assassin bug can squirt acid in defence. This is awesome. I can't believe how much I'm learning. Let's move on to the next one, which is Kuzzen Ferret. Let's go.
I would like to introduce you to the dark mark of the Death Eaters of our Lord and Saviour. It's your boy, Cousin Ferret, the man with spotlight hair. Because why not? And I'm back today because our dear Princess Sophie Pink has asked another question. Now this one's going to be quite interesting because I'm sure you know watching these videos the question probably comes up. But this is how I'm doing things. So, what do tarantulas eat, and if there's any insects they can't eat? Very good question. Now I have to admit this is a question where I'm not always off the top properly with it. But what I will say is, based on size, the bitty ones, like super bitty ones, springtails. They get bigger, bean weevils. It's slightly bigger than that, I don't know, so about that big? Yeah, about that big. Waxworms, bigger than that. Mealworms, and you get super worms. If you're allowed to keep cockroaches, I'm not. You can feed them cockroaches. You have the small red runner, also known as the Turkish, which are awesome, which, as you know, Princess Sophie Pink, you're using right now. You get dubias, which are bigger. If you get really big ones, because why not? There are always hissing cockroaches. Now, there are a few other options out there, of course. Crickets, locusts, grasshoppers, you name it. Hell, you're big enough tarantula, you could probably feed it a pinky. A few people have. And if you really want to be, you know, along those lines, why not? Dead baby bird, frozen dead baby bird. I don't know. Try it out. What they can't eat, it's quite simple. Anything that is poisonous. Then you're just poisoning your tarantula. And that just ain't fair. Thank you very much for tuning in. That is pretty much everything I have you on that one. I don't know why I did that random clap there, but you know whatsoever. So, thank you very much for listening to your boy, Cousin Ferret, the man with spotlight. And I'm going to sign off saying, if you ain't subscribed, you better subscribe. Ciao.
Thanks, Kuzzen Ferret, for your great and amazing answer. And I feed them red runners and sometimes mealworms, but they dig and it's really annoying. Sometimes I can't find them. And I feed them crickets, but no, I don't. And I mix all of them up what I can feed them. I didn't think that there will be many poisonous things for tarantulas. Maybe I can research it on my laptop. The next person is Tropicalful. Let's go.
Now, currently I feed my teas a couple of different types of insects. I've got cockroaches, dibia roaches, and I've got crickets. But there's also plenty of other things that you can feed them. Now, I'd say things they can't eat, anything that is bigger than the tea, that would obviously be quite an issue. And I believe there may be some sort of bugs and things like that that could be toxic. Also, I like to believe that the teas would sort of sense this. They'd know if there's something that's not good, they wouldn't eat it.
Thanks, Tropicalful, for your great and amazing answer. I'm so curious to know that what insect is poisonous to tarantulas. I'm definitely going to research it after this video. And next up is 8-legged diaries. Let's go.
Hello, 8-legged diaries here, and this is my answer for question number 3, which is, what do tarantulas like to eat, and is there any kind of insect they can't eat? Well, I feed my tarantulas on 3 different types of feeders. The first is red runner roaches. There they go. I am still waiting for these guys to start making babies, but when they do, I will hopefully have enough roaches in lots of different sizes to feed lots of different sized tarantulas, which is good. And what else is good about these guys is they can't climb glass, they can't climb plastic like this tub I've got them in here. This is a 30-litre just plain old tub from Wilko's. I give them fresh fruit and veggies once a week. They've got their bug gel, they've got some egg crates to hide in, and they like a lot of warmth, so they live over there next to my radiator to keep them toasty. So run, little roaches! Ha ha ha! I'll leave those guys alone. I also feed mealworms, good old mealworms. Again, they get fresh fruits and veggies once a week. There they are. And I just leave them to munch. They turn into beetles, they lay eggs, and then I end up again with mealworms in lots of different sizes for lots of different sized tarantulas. So see, I've got some little tiny ones, I've got some bigger fat ones over here. There's a few mealworm molts lying around. So they're very easy to look after. They get all their moisture from their food. So they get carrot, cucumber, a bit of apple every week. Now for my much bigger teas like Morticia and Adelaide, my ABT, and Zelda over here, we get superworms, which are, where are you guys? There they are, which are very big and very fat and eat exactly the same as the mealworms do. Whee! And I've noticed that, oh, there's a molted one there, look. I've noticed that there have been some little superworms appearing, which means that they are making babies, which is always good when you can breed your own food and not have to pay out for more. So we can't argue with that. Now, for my teeny weeniest tiny little spiders, which is these 3 guys here, the specks and the tiny huntsman, they're obviously too small for mealworms. Focus camera. So I give them fruit flies. Teeny tiny little fruit flies, which I scoop up with this little spoon and just tap in. So that's what mine eat. Let's put everybody back up on the shelf behind the sling pots. They just sit up there and do their thing. It's quite warm in my bedroom, so I don't need to worry about them too much. As for insects they can't eat, I think the only thing I wouldn't use to feed them would probably be hissing cockroaches, because their exoskeletons are far too tough. And I know some people use them occasionally for very, very big spiders like the T. sturmies, blondies and apophysis, which have big enough fangs to crack through the shell of a hissing cockroach. But other than that, you can give them worms, you can give them crickets, cockroaches, locusts, fruit flies, pretty much any sort of bug, really, as far as I know. Hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks, diaries, for your great and amazing answer. And I sometimes feed them my tarantulas breadwinners, but there's nowhere local selling them that much. Maybe I can start my own colony. Let me know if it's a good idea in the comments. Let me know, please. Next up is JB's Pet Mission. Let's go.
Question 3 is there any insects your tarantula won't eat? Short answer no, long answer yes. You've got to be careful when obviously your tarantula is just molted. You've got to be careful what you're going to feed them after that, because obviously the fangs are still going to be soft, so you don't want to feed them a really hard cockroach literally seconds after it's molted. You know what I mean? You've got to give it time for them to harden, and that's the truth there. And also normally an adult female or male tarantula will eat just about any sort of insect you offer them. They've also been known to eat small reptiles in the wild as well as small mammals like mice. And a lot of people do in captivity give their tarantulas a treat of a mouse sometimes, but they're full of fat, so you don't want to feed them like that. Insects they'll eat are locusts, crickets, cockroaches, mealworms, waxworms, you name it, they'll eat it. So that's question number 3 done there.
Thanks, JP's Pet Nation, for your fab answer. And oh yeah, well, obviously when your tarantula molts, the fangs are really soft and delicate, and you need to wait a bit for the fangs to get harder and harder. So obviously you don't feed it a hard and what you feed them. And let's move on to the next one, which is Jennifer's tarantula. Let's see what she says. Let's get.
Hi, Jennifer's Tarantulas here. Big thank you to Princess Sophie Pink for asking me to take part in these questions. We are on question 3, which is what do tarantulas eat, and is there any insects that they can't eat? I know in the wild, in their natural habitat, they will eat most bugs they can get hold of, and even a small frog or rodent that comes their way, depending on obviously the size of the tarantula. In captivity, in the hobby, we tend to stick with more roaches, locusts, crickets, that sort of thing. I have a dubia roach colony with red runners. I also have mealworms and tiny crickets in at the moment, little ones, for my slings that are getting a little bit bigger. And for the tiny ones, I feed them fruit flies, which are a pain in the neck. But fruit flies or a cricket leg is probably the best thing for slings. And yeah, so like I say, most of my bigger tarantulas, they do prefer the roaches. The big roaches, the bigger they are, the more they can eat. But and so yeah, that's just what I can think of. But I know some people do feed bean weevils and things, but I've not used those myself. But it's mainly roaches, locusts, crickets, mealworms, and that sort of thing. As far as any insects that they can't eat, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I honestly don't know. I've only used what I have researched and been told that is the best to use, which is the ones I have just said. Well, Princess Sophie Pink, I hope that has helped, and thank you for asking me to help you. Bye.
Thanks, Jennifer Tarantula, for your fab and amazing answer. Fruit flies, or whatever. I think they're so annoying when they get on the bananas, and probably so annoying feeding them to the tarantulas. And also, when you give a tarantula a cricket leg, does it give it much nutrition? Tell me in the comments, and I really want to know. And the next one is animal owner. Let's see what she says. Let's go.
So, basically here I'm showing you my Brachypelma albopilosum, which is molted. But anyways, let's start with the video. So let's start with slings. So slings can eat fruit flies, small roaches. You can even give them cricket legs if they're like very tiny. I've got Nandrochromatus slings and Costa Rican tiger rump. They're extremely tiny, so they get fruit flies. Juvenile tarantulas, you can give them dubia roaches, red runners, and larger crickets. But make sure that the food isn't larger than your tarantula, because obviously it will have harder time, eating it, I guess. And adult tarantulas, you can feed adult dubia roaches, Mario worms, mealworms. Juvenile tarantulas can have mealworms as well, just like dubia roaches. Just make sure they're not too big. And what foods tarantulas can't have, what insects. I've seen some people trying like these darkling beetles, the ones who make mealworms. Don't give them to tarantulas, because their exoskeleton is hard, so they have harder time getting into them. So plus, yeah, don't give them like flies, house flies. I think I've seen a YouTube video, someone giving the tarantula a house fly. Don't do that, because they could have parasites, so yeah. Thank you so much for me being in your video.
Sorry guys for my watery eyes and watery nose, because I just bumped the floor. And anyway, thanks Animal Owner for your last and final answer. Thanks everyone for your great answers, and I really appreciate it. And I have to do a lot of research, and it will take a long time. And you said so many things that I just want to know more about. I hope you guys like this, and I'll make sure that I'll link your channels in the description. Please go to subscribe to them. They are really amazing, and that's why I chose them. And I hope you guys like this. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe button, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.